Welcome back to the Pre-Vetted podcast, where we spotlight extraordinary people and remarkable talent reshaping our world. Today, we are joined by Ohad Shaked. He's an entrepreneur and startup builder known for helping founders turn early ideas into real companies. Ohad is a co-founder and CEO of ThinkUp, a digital accelerator and platform designed to guide entrepreneurs through validation, structure, and fundraising preparation. He also brings deep experience from building and scaling high growth technology businesses and working closely with founders and investors across many stages. Ohad, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Federico. Happy to be here.
I am honored to have you here today. So, for people meeting you for the first time, can you tell us more about what do you do today?
Today, as you said, I'm mainly the founder and CEO of ThinkUp, where we help early stage founders, first time founders to turn their ideas into startups, successful startups. I'm also the chairman and the owner of another startup in the IoT domain. And occasionally I invest in other VCs and sometimes other startups. So that's in general I wear a few hats.
Great. So, what problem or frustration pushed you to start ThinkUp?
When I started my first startup 10 years ago in the IoT domain, we've had a lot of back and forth with research. We knew the vision. We wanted to connect billions of smart things, but we didn't know where to start, with which vertical, who's going to be the customers, what's going to be the use case. And we've done a lot of market research, each time picking a different vertical, researching the market, the problems there, trying to find people to speak to, domain experts and potential customers, to validate our way forward. And it took us a lot of time. Even though we were a few people with vast experience and the resources, it took us a lot of time and the process was quite frustrating. So I thought maybe we can do it better, faster, easier for other founders and provide them something useful. That's what brought me here.
Right. Interesting. And who is ThinkUp built for?
I think it's founders or people with an idea who want to be founders and they're not really familiar with the startup journey. Okay, it's a journey, it's a complex journey. There are best practices and methodologies on how to do it. It's a journey, a very tough journey with hundreds of tasks that are connected to each other. And people that are not familiar with the entire process and how to do it right, those are the people we can help the most.
Right. I think what you're doing is amazing because there's so many startups that fail. Most of them, they don't have the experience, so they don't know what they don't know on terms of the journey, right? So,
Yeah.
and sometimes they have some of the more difficult things to have: the stamina, the energy, the commitment, and the dream, right?
Yeah.
And going from being able to increase those probabilities to success, I think that becomes an important mission.
Exactly. Exactly. We all have a dream, but we don't know the exact journey, how long it is, what do we need to do? Lots of blind spots. We don't know what we don't know when we're first timers.
Right.
And sometimes we learn it the hard way.
Right.
People struggle, for 6 months, a year, 2 years, just to realize all the mistakes that they've done and they could have done better.
So, what is the experience of the digital accelerator for founders?
We're focused on the ideation phase, which is pre-revenue, pre-MVP, pre-funding. And people should log into the platform. They type in their idea, and then we break it down to the problem that they are trying to solve. That's very important. You're trying to solve a problem. You have to be focused on the problem. We also break it down to the solution and the industry. This provides us the building blocks to provide a customized experience. for users. And then they are presented with a map and modules and tasks, and they progress, they move forward task by task. And at each time, they're focused on different steps, on different topics. The first topic is customer research. Who are their personas, their potential customers, the decision makers, the buyers? What are the pain points? What are the needs? As Jeff Bezos said, focus on your customer, be obsessed with your customer. Or as YC Accelerator likes to say, build something people want. So we start with focus on the customer. Then we help them, the users, to create the surveys, the interviews, to find potential customers to interview, prepare the interview. And then once they've done the interview, upload it, analyze it, validate the assumptions. And furthermore, there are, the market analysis, competitive analysis, when you need to find your unique value proposition and your competitive advantages. You define your product concept, high-level capabilities of your product that address the pains of your potential customers. So, on high level, this is the process. And then there's more interviews, go-to-market strategy, business model, building your pitch deck, your financial model. No, there are lots of stuff, and we're trying to cover most of them.
Right. Where do you see founders wasting most of their time, and what could they do to avoid it?
I think they're rushing a bit. They're rushing a bit too much to build, to get ahead with the product, whether it's vibe coding or just simply software. And it's too fast. They don't have, respect for the process, let's say that. And they have to think, not just to run and build stuff. They have to stop, think, understand, and build what matters. Otherwise, we see like teams building all-in-one shops, all in products that are both marketing and a CRM and an operational tool, but they haven't validated exactly the problem and what their potential customers need. They don't have a focus. So people rush ahead, with building stuff. They think they are prepared for funding, but they're just wasting time because they're not really prepared. They have to do more of the 3 Ps: prepare, prepare, prepare. This is why they should be more focused.
Right, right. That's very interesting. And how do you help someone validate demand without overbuilding a product?
Yeah. Right. So we try and help them, provide recommendations about groups where they can find potential customers. We sometimes even point them to specific customers, and we help them through the interview process, what to ask, how to analyze it objectively, and lay out the assumptions. What are the most important assumptions that they have to prove before they move on? Assumptions like, will people pay for it? Will people like to use it? Is the technology feasible? They have all sorts of assumptions that they have to prove. We guide them through laying out the assumptions and then building the right interview to validate or invalidate those assumptions. This is the process of validating the problem, validating your mock-up. It's very easy to build a prototype. People do it in minutes. But then the iterations, when people don't like it, when people don't use it, when people don't pay for it, it causes a lot of frustration, depression. You feel the stress. Things are not moving in the right direction. So try to do more research. Talk to more people before you rush into building it, before you rush to speak with investors. That's the right process.
Right. Yeah, because it's is it. I mean, I'm a software engineer, so for me, it's easier to build than validate. And then I built a lot, and I've been with this idea of if you build it, they will come. And that's not necessarily the case, right?
Yeah. We all like to build. Building is creation. Technology is creation. It's like kind of art. It's like almost having a kid. That's the nice part. That's the great part of seeing something new being created. We're not interested, in other people's problems and researching them and stuff like that. I know that. We all like to do what we like to do, what we build. We're focused there. So being an entrepreneur is one of the most less selfish things. You always have to think about your customers. And that's the hard part. And finding them and making them talk to you and then hearing things that you don't want to hear. It's not easy to hear that your product is not good enough, that they don't have the problem, they're not willing to buy, and your solution is not that great. It's hard to hear those things. It will never work. There's not going to be any demand. We've all been through that. I've heard that myself. But you have to go out of your comfort zone and do these things. Otherwise, you're just going to have the same pains and issues further down the road. 6 months later and $20,000 less. Try and do it as soon as possible.
Right. I remember the video that Dropbox launched when they first started to validate the demand. And it was just a simple, I don't know, I think it was a minute video, something like that.
Yeah.
And I always recall that because they were able to build what Dropbox is now because they were able to validate their demand with one video, right? That they did very quickly.
Yeah, it was very viral, extremely popular. Yeah.
Right.
That's easy.
So, probably they hit, they were lucky in a lot of things, but for that video to become viral, but that proved that there was a huge demand for the product.
Yeah. So that's a great way, for validating things. It's like showing your concept, your demo, see if it resonates with anyone. That's a great way to validate. Yeah.
Right. So, how can startups find these early signals that idea is worth pursuing?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you I've been in a conference in Vienna of startups and innovation a couple of months ago. I spoke to someone who was scouting for technology for the automotive business. And I was asking him about, autonomous vehicles and data, because I was researching for the other startup that I'm involved with, and I wanted to see if I can get a signal of validation. And I asked him about, do they need data from outside the vehicle, not from their own sensors and cameras? And he wasn't interested in that. He just switched to another topic. So I saw that clearly that was a strong signal, negative signal. So there was no point of, trying to sell him the solution. That's a strong signal of no interest. When you see people that are very interested in the problem, when you talk about that problem, they're very interested, they are very engaged, and they say, yeah, I've experienced that. We've been trying to fix it. We've been trying to find solution. We've done some workarounds. We spent some money. We've got some budget allocated for that specific problem. That's bingo. That's the best you can do. And then obviously, where can we sign up? Give me a call. I want to add someone else from our team to that call. Do you have any marketing material? Can I sign up for the waiting list? And obviously, if someone provides their credit card for future payment, future purchase, that's the strongest signal.
Right, because they're willing to put their money towards that product or service.
Yeah. That's the ultimate validation,
What signals do you use to see founders if they are worth to invest in them? Are founders born or are they made?
Yeah. I hope that founders are not only born, they can be made. Lots of people that are executives in all sorts of companies. They're not born entrepreneurs. They didn't start their career as entrepreneurs. But at some point, once you get some more experience as a manager, as a salesman, as a marketing manager, as a product manager, you want to join forces with someone else and start your own business. And that's great. You just have to know the journey. You have to be prepared. You have to be more focused, on the methodologies. And I like to see people that are into a structured journey. They're not just playing around. There's not just improvising or just running fast. We're running very fast. We're not sleeping. We're working all day. I want to meet founders that have a clear path, that they know how to do things. They are willing to learn. They are humble. They know that they don't know everything. They're willing to get an advice, maybe make some changes if they hear other things. They are focused on their customers. They are focused on validation. And if they're not focused on their customers, then there's not going to be any business. That's the most important thing. At least at the beginning, you need to reach product market fit. That's what you need. That's what I want.
Right. So first is validation of the idea, then product market fit. Then what we kind of talk about is this idea of the willingness of the founder to learn how to run the process properly.
Yeah, exactly. Because, as a founder, you're running a company. Now, running a company has a few dimensions: legal, financial, entrepreneurship, sales, product, tech, marketing, a lot of aspects in HR. You can't be an expert in everything, especially if you're a bit younger, if you're a first timer. So that's why you join forces with other co-founders. And still, you probably don't have all of the skills necessary. So you need to learn, you need some guidance, you need some help. That's okay. Just be willing to learn and just be aware that you don't know everything.
Right. Yes, and the one way that I've been phrasing this is the success of the company has higher priority than the founder's ego.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but ego, it's what drives us forward, that's what
Right.
keeps us alive and gives us the motivation. And we want to change the world. Well, we want to be on the Forbes top lists. We want to be known. We want to be respected. But sometimes, as you said, sometimes maybe we can start the business, but we can't go all the way. We're not good managers. Maybe we have strong tech people, but we're not good in financials or commercial aspects. So sometimes you have to step down and make way for someone which is a better fit. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. It's about having a balance between the understanding what's going on with the world, right?
Yeah,
Having a lot of sensitivity, but also at the same time having the, I call it stubbornness. This is probably not the right word, but the stubbornness to keep pushing towards your vision and prove to yourself and the world that idea is worth pursuing, right?
yeah, yeah. It's a fine line between, what you just mentioned, stamina and just being stubborn. You never know exactly when you have a stamina and you're pushing forward at one point, it's going to happen. You're going to break out and be successful, or you're just stubborn and it's never going to work. It's up to you and your colleagues, your co-founders, maybe your investors to make that decision together or sometimes for you. I've been in a lot of situation when I was the investor, and many times the founders were not the right person to lead the company, and it leads to a very unpleasant situation where you have to make the founder leave. But
Right.
that's for the benefit of the company, and sometimes founders don't see it that way. That's a shame. But it's a very emotional process, you know. It's not just an investment. This is our life's work as entrepreneurs. People have to understand it. Very emotional, very
Right.
important.
Yes. It's very close to our own image reflection, right? Because it's um if we're a founder, it kind of defines who we are in a much very deep significance, right? And it took me a lot of time to learn how to detach myself from, me as an individual to the company, right? So that way I can reduce my emotions on situations that happens, right? And
Yeah,
being able to see it with a cooler head and being able to see, am I the right person to, to manage this situation, or do I have somebody on my team that can do that
yeah,
better, right?
yeah, yeah. Usually, you know, in routine, I think the best way is to delegate everything that can be delegated. Whatever your employees can do, whatever your team can do, try to delegate it to them. It empowers them, it gives them purpose, independence, and you can focus on other stuff. You can help them. You should be there for them if they are stuck. But don't try to do most of the things or all of the things by yourself. Don't try to make all the decisions. It's bad for you, for your stress, for your team. Try to delegate as much as possible. It's going to create also more commitment.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about AI in the world that we're living now. AI is becoming this big thing between, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of, harsh realities with AI. How should founders think about AI today as a tool, as a teammate, as a strategy? What are your thoughts on that?
All of them. All of them. First of all, on your journey, you have many more tools to make much more, to go through deep research, validate your assumption, research your market, research signals from social networks, from the web about your personas. You can do better market research, better competitive analysis. You can do much more thorough work today than before. You can even run a few ideas in parallel. Today, I think each and every one of us uses AI on a day-to-day basis, almost in every email, every question that we have. You know, it's just like a Google search a few years ago. So it's a teammate, and you need to bounce ideas with it. And also as a strategy, you know, I see people moving a bit towards deep tech more because standard software has a big question whether it has a moat or not. Can you defend your SaaS against the LLMs, the foundation models? It's harder and harder. Do you have an IP? Do you have proprietary data? If you think you do, if you think you have a process, something that's very unique to you, if you're in a niche, that's great. Otherwise, people go to deep tech, hardware, agri-tech, food tech, space tech, life science, where the foundation models are probably not there yet. So you always try and find your path forward. That's, I think,
Right.
the general view of AI at the moment.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've seen that the buy versus rent, the equation has been going down for the cost of buy or build. So
Yeah,
it's been going down for the build, because now the coding agents allow you to build much faster at a lower cost,
yeah,
and that it's killing a lot of SaaS companies, but not all of them, right? There are a lot of companies where the product's still worthwhile to use.
yeah. You know, I'm a bit skeptic about it. I don't see too many people in a food company, in a corporate, in a bank, starting to build their own, you know, CRM, project management, marketing automation tool, things like that. Maybe at the beginning it's nice, but on an ongoing basis, you know, when you have lots of users within your corporate, you have to maintain it. You have to make sure it doesn't break. There are bugs. there are requests from the team. I'm not sure if it can be done properly. And the other companies out there on the market will keep improving. They're gonna offer better and better user experience and better value proposition. So I'm a bit skeptic if corporates will decide, to build significant systems on their own. That's my view. Maybe I'm biased.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of hype towards this topic, and I think it's interesting to hear your perspective because you are working directly with founders and you can see what's hype and what's real, right?
Yeah.
So when founders are preparing for fundraising, what do investors actually want to see first?
First, I think the first and most important thing is, who did you talk to? How many interviews did you conducted? How can you validate that the problem is real? What's the basis for your assumptions? And then what have you built? And, in terms of, just a prototype. And again, does it really resonate with potential customers? How many potential customers did you talk to? What exactly did you hear? Signals. I think this is the most important thing. Building is less important in, the early stage that we are referring to. And then I think investors want to see entrepreneurs that know the methodology and the structure. They want to see unique value proposition, which is focused, which is correct. They want to see competitive advantage, whether it's IP, whether it's the team, whether it's proprietary data. And they want to see market analysis, which is correct, not too big. Don't just throw a $500 billion market size at them. They want to understand, to see that the user know how to analyze the market properly and come up with figures that are specific to their domain as much as possible. They want to see that that founders have realistic financial plans. Not too big, not too modest. They understand the amount of money that they have to put in order to build the team, to build the product, and then build initial distribution channels and bring in the first customers. So a robust financial model. Let's say, I wouldn't say a solid roadmap because it's still in the early phase, but I do want to see founders that can envision, the next 2 years, roughly. What are the milestones? Where they want to go? I think that's, and other than that, founders have to see the other side of the investor. How does the investor see them, this opportunity? Now, if the investor invest X, what would their return be within a few years, or at least up until the next round? Founders have to understand and see things also from the perspective of an investor, not just their own founder perspective.
Right.
Many stuff, it's complicated.
And being realistic on the cost, the effort to build it, and basically be pulled by demand rather than their dreams, right? Interesting. So can you share us a story where a founder used your system and got a surprising breakthrough?
Yeah, I think there was one company that comes to mind that they were trying to build AI mentors, to build like a digital twin for a coach, personal development coach. And they weren't sure what's their go-to-market strategy. Are they going to be B2C, B2B? And then they started making some interviews with their industry. They then found out that partnerships with personal development gurus themselves would be the right approach. It's going to be both cheap and better returns, and with great mass market adoption. brand adoption, and that fits their team skills best. So through the process, they got into that B2B partnership playbook.
Interesting, interesting. And were they able to get funding, or are they still on that process?
Yeah, they raised pre-seed funding with some well-known angels, and I think they're on the right track for product marketing.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So, what did you learn about from scaling previous companies that you can now teach founders, early founders?
Okay, so it's building the entire business framework, the initial business framework. It's as we discussed over and over again. It's first of all the validation of the problem and the solution in order to get the product market fit, and to have a more realistic financial model, because it's hard for us, to understand how much would acquiring new customer would cost, the headquarter, the R&D, what are the milestones that we need to achieve, and how long is it going to take? How much money is it going to take? What's the right roadmap for us? And how to build your capital strategy? Because that means, funding round after funding round after funding round. You always have to be prepared for your next funding round. Obviously, you always need more funds, and you always have to plan ahead, even the funding strategy, not just your company strategy, not just your customer development. How you're going to bring in more and more customers. You have to fund it. And all the time, your startup needs increase. The overhead, the ad counts, the marketing spend, everything increases. The stress increases as well, and you always have to raise more and more funds. That's even in the case where everything goes right. So we have to build that as a coherent plan. The funding, the validation, bringing in the traction, building the MVP, the financial plan. It's a big picture with lots of details in it. So I think that's the experience that me and my team bring into the process, and that's the value that we provide for founders.
Right, right. And a proven track record because you've
Yeah,
already
yeah,
scaled your companies and you
yeah,
can
yeah.
provide that experience to them, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I've made lots of mistakes myself. The people that I worked with, the companies that I invested, and we improved all the time. You make mistakes, you make changes, you make experiments, you fail, you pivot, you try other playbooks until you succeed. Every day, every week, you have to ask yourself, what can I do better? How can I do better? Until eventually, hopefully, you reach success.
Right. What advice would you give to, when somebody's trying to promote a product or a service and between, figuring out do they need to pivot or do they need to keep pushing because they haven't found the ideal customers yet and didn't have the response they were looking for, right? How can you help them navigate that decision?
Yeah. So it's also when you have a product, when you have customers, it's an ongoing process, never ending, of speaking to your customers, conducting user interviews, usability tests. And we always try to understand what goes in the mind of our users and customers. Do they like the product? What are the pros, the cons, the difficulties? What's not working in the product? Is it the user experience? Is it the features? What changes do we need to make? Sometimes you look at videos of user sessions, you're trying to understand what went wrong, what they didn't understand, why did they not press that button, what were they trying to do? And if you don't find a product market fit, you have to ask yourself, does the problem really exist? Do we answer a true pain? That's the first question, and then if it is, the second thing is the traffic that you bring in, the people, the users, are their product qualified? Do they experience that pain? If they do, and if they want an answer to that pain, is your product good enough? Okay? If the users are a good fit, if they have that problem, if the problem exists, maybe your product is not good enough. So you have to ask yourself and understand, where's the problem? Is it your product? Is the traffic you're bringing? Is it the problem that doesn't exist? You have to understand which one is it.
What is your advice about pricing? How can you help founders figure out pricing? It's pricing. It's a multiple variable problem, right? You have the packages, the actual number, and then how do you present it?
Yeah. Yeah. You have the standard playbook of 3 or 4 different tiers. It depends if you're selling to SMBs, to large corporates. Your basis assumption, your base point is look at your competitors. What are your customers using for that specific problems to solve? How are your competitors price? How do they price their products? And what do you offer in comparison to your competitors? Are you offering sort of the same or maybe diminished value proposition, but you want to do it with a price advantage? So you would offer it at a 50% discount? Or do you offer something superior with much better value propositions? So maybe you can price it at the same price or even at a higher price. And obviously, when you start your business, there are kind of introductory offer, special offers at the beginning. But it depends on your go-to-market strategy and the value proposition. Is it better than your competitors, or is it the pricing that is the advantage that you want to introduce?
Right.
Today, also for consumers applications, I think ChatGPT kind of serves as a benchmark. If that is a competitor for many different consumer apps, and then you have Claude for the enterprise. So those are the generic competitors for almost everything, and they could serve as a benchmark. Maybe you want to offer something that is less expensive than they are until you can show that you have a better value proposition. That's
Right.
the situation today. Yeah.
Interesting. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger self, yeah, I keep asking myself the same question. Don't rush your career. Take it slowly. There are no shortcuts. Build yourself up, in the process. Learn all the dimensions of a company. Learn how to manage a product. Learn the sales process. Learn the marketing aspects. Learn the financial and legal aspects. And obviously, the tech. Manage teams, and try and conduct full sales cycles before you start building your own business. I think sales is one of the most difficult aspect to convince someone else to pay you. And you have to make sure that you have some experience in all of those dimensions. Hire people, build a team, try to define your culture, your DNA. All of those things are important before you start build a business. I think that's the advice.
Amazing. Amazing. It's hard because we are who we are based on our experience, right? So if we, even the positive and the painful ones, right? So even if we remove the painful ones, then we're not going to be who we are now, right?
Yeah, someone said that experience is the name that we give our mistakes.
Right. Yes. It's
Yeah,
the accumulation of our mistakes and all the decisions that we made that got
exactly,
us here.
exactly. I agree.
Amazing, Ohad. We're running out of time,
Okay.
but I truly appreciated you being here today. Any final remarks before we wrap it up?
Um, I suggest, founders, prepare yourselves, learn as much as you can before taking this big step. Maybe you have a job. Before you quit your job, try and be prepared as much as possible so you don't have too many surprises, too much stress, too many blind spot. too much pain, and in the process later on. So try to prepare as much as possible and build a team that helps you throughout the process. Don't be alone at it.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you very much for joining us today.